Hello, dear sister. Today is a topic I have talked about before, both in my book, What All Spirit Babies Want Their Mamas to Know, and in a video blog, which is titled, I think, What Everyone Needs to Know About Intuitive Readings. Um, but I just can't say this enough or remind people enough, and that the more and more people are waking up spiritually, a very natural thing to do is to go to a psychic or intuitive for a spiritual reading, an intuitive reading. Um, and it can be really, really tricky to do this now. It can be very tricky. So just to remind us, if we read it in the book or saw it on my blog, um, there are infinite timelines, infinite possibilities. The intuitive that you're going to see is going to read you not only from the vibration you are at right now, but most importantly, they're going to read you from the vibration that they are are at. They're going to read you from their own frequency. And so the tricky thing about this is that many people are born with psychic gifts, with intuitive gifts, where they can see beyond the veil. They can see certain things that we can't see. Because they have this gift, it's so easy to think they know everything. And so if you're getting a reading and some of the things are spot on, like, oh my God, I can't believe that they got that, or I can't believe they're telling that to me. It's so easy also to give credence to the things that maybe don't quite resonate with us. And I've been there. I've absolutely been there when I had my own psychic readings and just being blown away with, oh boy, I can't believe she said that. Oh, I can't believe she picked up on that. And then I'd get a piece of information that didn't quite feel good. It constricted me, it limited me, and yet I just chose to embrace that because, well, she knows more than I do. It's sort of like also going to a doctor who knows a lot about health and they give you a diagnosis that feels like crap. But because you think they know more than you do, you just embrace it as your own. It's exactly the same. So, the work for us to do is to use our own discernment, use our own feelings. Um, a lot of the people that are born with gifts to see beyond the veil, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but it's true for a majority that I have seen, is they think that they have this gift, so they're already spiritually aware. And so they don't do the work to open themselves up more or to spiritually evolve. So they can sort of rest on their gift and sort of become lazy in their gift instead of evolving it with the times and with our own evolution. Um, I was at a fair before with this woman who obviously was just resting on her gift, telling me really mundane, surface level stuff, but not looking beyond that. So, my first advice to you is that if you're seeking out someone for a psychic reading or an intuitive reading, do just a little interview with, just one or two questions. Because, dear sister, if you're watching this video, if you're partaking in the information on my website, you have available to you the higher frequencies. You're being invited into it. You have knowledge about it. Ask your intuitive while you're setting up an appointment, are you aware of the fifth dimension? Okay. Are you aware of the spiritual evolution we're going through right now? Are you doing your own spiritual growth? Ask just those three questions. Even knowing about the fifth dimension, do you understand the fifth dimension that we're evolving into that? Just that alone, if they don't know what you're talking about, then that's not the intuitive for you. Really, you want to interview them. They are not all for you. Absolutely not. In fact, if you are viewing this video, you are on a spiritual journey that is above most people at this time. And I'm not saying that makes us any better, but it makes us more aware of the infinite possibilities out there. I said this in my book, and I believe on my video, I stopped going to see intuitives or psychics when I realized that my own vision had become farther reaching than theirs. When I left a psychic reading or an intuitive reading feeling constricted or limited, I knew it was time to stop seeing them. That being said, uh, there are absolutely still times, and I'm not going to lie about this, even recently, like even just last week or the week before, like, oh geez, I just wish I could have someone else's insight on what the hell is going on with me right now. I mean, there's still this tempted urge in me to get someone else's feedback. But what we really need as women is we don't need the answers as much as we need validation of our own answers. For me, I know I'm just not going to find that out there right now from someone else. I'm so rooted in my own knowing of my own limitlessness that I refused to see anybody else, lest they try and bring me down. Even though I wouldn't lend weight to it, I just don't need to transmute or transcend that energy. If you feel called to a psychic or an intuitive, by all means, look into it if it feels like something is something you need to do. Interview them first. Do you know of the higher dimensions? Do you know that there's infinite timelines? And if you go and have a reading, use your own discernment. Keep the things that make you feel good and expanded and limitless. If you get information that constricts you, or makes you feel limited, or makes you feel bad, let me tell you, those feelings, that's your soul saying, something's not right here. I'm not saying that, there's not going to be difficulties on our spiritual journey, that there's not going to be challenges. But anyone who's giving you an outcome that does not sit right with you, you throw that away. And I've heard this from more than one woman, and one woman just recently who went to a psychic reading and was told that she was not supposed to have any more children. And that just made her feel horrible because she has been communicating with her own spirit baby. I think she even might have had a mini reading for me, or I answered a question, so I verified, yes, there's a spirit baby. And for this woman to say, no, 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 you have enough kids. I mean, if that makes her feel icky and gross, you just throw that out. Because what's happening there is that this psychic is reading from her own frequency. She's actually probably letting her own humanness get in the way there. What I'm going to say right now is I'm not saying that that timeline that the psychic was tuning into does not exist. Absolutely, that can exist. There is a timeline where this woman is not going to have any more children. However, that is not the timeline this woman is vibrating to. And that's why it doesn't feel good. Because that is not her timeline that her own frequency is vibrating to or aligned with. I just got chills. So sister, I just talked to you yesterday. That is not your timeline, what this woman said. It is not your timeline. It is a timeline. It's not your timeline. And along that, that train of thought, and this is for the forerunners who've been on this journey for a while. I think I mentioned this recently. I'm going to mention it again. When you're so very focused on a certain high vibrating timeline, it can be so easy to be waiting for the old timelines to go away. Just go away, go away, go away. Or, you're waiting for the heaviness, the heaviness and the ickiness, the badness to go away. Now, let me tell you, it's never going to go away. That stuff is always going to be there. But we can shift our perception, shift our vibration away from it so it feels like it's not there anymore. But, and I think I just talked about this last week on what, in fact, that'd be a great sister companion to this video. What vibration are you residing in, 3D, 4D, or 5D? It's the same thing. They will always be there, but you can change, you can shift, which is also, by the way, sometimes you can have an intuitive reading and it's accurate, it's absolutely right at the time, but things change. Your frequency changes. So anything that you got in that reading that felt right at the time, that was meant to feel right at the time. As things change and evolve, then circumstances also change and evolve. And as you're changing and evolving, you're spiraling up to higher outcomes, higher possibilities. What might have felt like the highest possibility for you at this time of your reading changes to another higher frequency later on as we evolve. And I can attest to this in my own experience of intuitive readings that I have gotten from other people. I will get something at the time that absolutely feels right, and then later on I realize, that doesn't fit anymore. That outcome doesn't fit anymore. I've evolved beyond that. Oh my God, there's just so much information I could talk about. It's also why sometimes you can get information about your spirit babies, about a certain gender, about a certain timeline, and it absolutely feels right. But as we evolve and expand, things change. The spirit babies can change order. They can change their gender that they're going to come with. That's how things can change. So nothing is static. Even an intuitive reading from the highest vibrational person, things can change as you evolve past it. So don't look at a reading as absolutely fixed in time. That is where you are in that moment, and things can change. If you're watching this video, you are vibrationally expanding. So something that absolutely is true now, you expand into something different, but it's always a higher outcome from where we are. You're never going to go back to the lower karmic shit. Once you evolve past it, you don't have to do that again. So, geez, that's a whole lot of information I've just thrown at you. But there's going to come a time when you realize, geez, you know what? I just don't think I should be seeking information outside myself anymore, because I know my deepest truth. I absolutely know my deepest truth. So as you're becoming more limitless, as you're stepping into your higher frequencies, there's going to be less people that is going to be able to read you accurately. And even if they do, circumstances can change, so that what was being picked up in the reading, you change into a different frequency, that can also change. So that's why it can be very tricky to get a psychic or intuitive reading as you are in the higher frequencies, because not many people will resonate with your frequency, and because things can change as well. That's not to say that you shouldn't, absolutely not. But again, sort of interview them first. You know, I always say I'm a best case scenario intuitive because I can see the higher possibilities from where you are. But again, that can also change as well as you change. And here's a great example. I remember doing this reading for someone, and she very clearly had a spirit baby daughter coming in. Very clearly, I think she'd had a miscarriage or something of this spirit baby daughter, but it was very, very clear to her and me that she had this daughter. When she got pregnant, she gave birth to his son, which I know something about. And she came back to me with, some details, and I was able to see, oh, well, her mother had died when she was pregnant with this baby. And because her mother had died, there was a rearrangement there with the spirit baby and the mother's energy, who would have been her grandmother. And this was really sort of new information to me, but there was going to be a melding of the mother's spirit and the baby's spirit for her to come in. And so there was a delay so she could experience a higher version of herself. As I always say in many areas, delays are protection against our highest, against anything but getting our highest desires. It can be frustrating very, very frustrating to be waiting for something that you just know is imminent, and then you just have to wait some more. But if we can realize it's because higher things are happening, then we can take some comfort in that. So that's what happened there. At the time of the reading I did for this one, it was definitely a girl coming in. But because things had changed with the death of her mom, this, future brother that had planned on coming in later came in, so this baby girl could meld with the energy of her mom and come in a different way, in a higher way. So again, that's why it can be a little tricky. But the thing to take away from all this is listen to your own self. Listen to your feelings about any reading. If it lifts you up, if it makes you excited, if it just expands you, then just take that information and say, yeah, oh my God, yeah, I align with that. I align with that. If there's any part of any reading that doesn't feel right, listen to that. That is your soul saying, that's not our highest path. You don't have to throw out the whole reading. Just listen to your feelings about it, because that's your own way of discerning the information. Say, I'm not going to align with that. I choose a higher path there. That's the way to get a reading, and then also use your intuition to steer you to the highest possible outcome. I hope that is helpful. All of you that are watching this, your intuition is getting so strong right now, and it's just going to continue to get stronger. So listen to your heart first and foremost. Seek out those that vibrate to the higher frequencies, and trust your heart above all others. All right? I love you.